Hello, this is an individual project demo for class CSE535 spring 2020 for student Adrian Pantea. Okay, so the first I'm going to go through a demo of the project while it's running. So here's the emulator running, and here's the patient data you could fill in: patient age, patient name, okay, sex, male or female. And you could see that there's no data being recorded or no data input right now. So you click on the run command to start. You notice that stop is not enabled, so only run is enabled. So if you click run, you start getting data. You notice we started with 5 or 6 seconds initially. And now as the data is running, it updates every second. I cut off the values to be between 0 and 200 for the heart rate input. That's for the y-axis, and for the x-axis, I'm showing the seconds that are running. Now you can tell after I clicked run, the run is disabled and the stop is enabled. Also, for every data point, I'm showing the data point as the title of the graph. Now if I click stop, you get a toast message there, and then the graph stops updating, but the seconds are still taking in the background. You notice we left off at 43 seconds. If I click stop, run again, not stop is disabled, but if I click run again, you see where it picked off at 60 there because I stopped talking for was like 15 seconds or so. All right, so and then you can click stop again and run again and stop again. All right, so you can't click stop twice, and you can't click run twice. You can only, so I disable and enable both the run and the stop as you would expect from a regular application. Okay, so that's enough of the demo. Now I'll go into the coding, okay? So here is my Android Studio, and I have the layout. All right, so over here we have the frame layout. So this is a frame layout, and there's nothing specified inside of it, right? I'm going to specify what to put in the frame layout inside of the initialization code. So I'm going to close the activity main here and go to that code, which is main activity.java. Okay, so there's the main activity in the graph queue. This is the class that we were given, okay? So I didn't write this code, but I did change a couple things. You saw that when the graph was updating, the labels were bigger. That's because I set this value for the border and the text size to be bigger. So if I made the text size big and also the border bigger so that it can accommodate the text size. Okay, so that's graph view. I'm going to close that now. Now let's go back. Now let's go to the main activity code. So there's a couple instance variables of the class. Okay, the start and stop, I'm only holding these as variables so I can easily enable and disable them. There's the frame container, the graph view, the random number generator. Now this is whether or not we are processing input, and this is whether or not we're updating the graph. So the reason I had to separate these two is because once you start processing input, you could be updating the graph or not, right? So those are two separate variables. And here's the default initialized vertical labels and horizontal labels. So this is the heart rate, and here's the seconds. You could see I start off with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 seconds. All right, so on the create, I go to the on-click listener, and the on-click listener for the button start shows the toast and then enables or disables the appropriate button. And here we go. If you're already processing here, you don't do anything. But if you haven't already started, so if it's your very first time running this code, you're going to get through to here. Okay, and here's just where we put the graph view inside of that frame layout that I was showing in the GUI. All right, and then we run a thread, and in that thread we do run on UI thread. Okay, so that thread does a while loop while processing input, and if it's actually updating the graph, it'll do the add data to graph. If not, it'll just increment the x-axis values. Okay, and that code is here, a data graph, which is basically taking those those values, copying all of them except for the last one, and then adding a value at the end that is a random value, a random number between 0 and 200. Remember, I limited the y values to be between 0 and 200. All right, here we increment the second count, which is right here. We just add 1 second to it, and then I'll do the same, basically the same thing we did up here for the values we do for the labels. And then over here we call set values. And of course, to get the graph to update with the new values, we have to call and validate. That's really it for the code. So really the main stuff, the main part here is this code only runs once, okay, when you first click run. And then while it's running, it's going to run every second. While it's running, as long as we're processing input, we're going to be updating the graph if we need to be. And if not, we're incrementing the x axis values. All right, thank you. And that's it.